I want to talk a little bit about the application process.
Now you have to be ready for the fact that the process might take between 2 to 3 months to be completed. We recommend that you apply about 3 months before your ideal departure date. Note that once the recruitment process is completed, there could be a gap between the moment you're available and we match you to the field. Our needs are completely driven by those on the ground. You can anticipate waiting periods of sometimes over 6 months before a suitable assignment can be found. That being said, a match can sometimes move quickly. We recognize that this demands a lot of flexibility from applicants, and we strive to be as transparent and forthright about the needs throughout the recruitment process.
We receive a high number of applications, and we aim to give feedback to every person. To help us do that, we encourage you to use the template CV that you'll find on our website. This facilitates the process for us of identifying people's strengths and weaknesses. In that CV, we'd ask you to highlight all the transferable skills that you've had in your professional career linked to the profile that you're applying for. We ask you to complete an online application form and provide us with a letter of motivation. If you don't provide us with these 3 things, we won't be considering your application. So as mentioned before, we try to make sure each candidate gets individual feedback. And on average, we're doing that within about 1 month from the day someone applies. There are certain cases where that might be longer, but that's not because we've forgotten you, just because we're basing our recruitment process based on the needs in the field. So in some cases, you might get feedback within a week if you're applying it for a profile that we need heavily at that moment. If it's a profile that we might not need too much at that point, it might be put lower on our priority list, but it doesn't mean that we won't get to you. In case you have any doubts about your application, don't hesitate to write us an email. That address is applications@msf.ca. Once you've completed your application, you'll get an acknowledgement of receipt. After that, the next step could take anywhere from 1 week to 1 month, as I discussed before. And it might involve a phone screen or an invitation to write certain tests if you're applying from a non-medical side. If the phone screen and tests are successful, we'll then invite you to either a face-to-face interview or a Skype interview in certain cases. If that's successful as well, the last step of the recruitment process is a 2-day orientation, which you'll be participating with other first missioners that are recently recruited. And after those 2 days, the final decision is given.